All right, great. So my name is Kate McIntyre. I'm with Anti-War Committee Chicago and Freedom Road Socialist Organization, and I'm one of your MCs for tonight. I first of all want to thank Grace Place for letting us use the space to hold this event. Also Mike Kalis from Multiculti for lending us the camera so we could film this event, and for everyone here for coming tonight. The time during Operation Protective Edge was difficult for everyone dedicated to a free Palestine and passionate about human rights. While mainstream news refused to cover it, brave reporters and publications like Ali Abu Nima and the Electronic Intifada, as well as courageous people in Gaza, showed us daily the atrocities committed by Israel against the Palestinian people. The light that shone through these dark days was the incredible amount of organizing done by the Palestinian community and its supporters that refused to allow Israel to normalize the occupation and disrupted business as usual for the companies that are profiting off of it. Before I turn it over to my co-MC Nasreen, I want to commemorate that on September 24th, 2010, 4 years ago, the FBI raided the homes of several anti-war and pro-Palestine activists in the Midwest. Two of them are here tonight, Joe Osbaker and Hatem Aboudeya. Joe and Hatem inspired not just me, but many in Chicago with their courage and refusal to back down in the face of FBI repression and intimidation. Now I'm going to turn it over to Nasreen, who's going to tell you what the Midwest 23 and their supporters are working to defend.
Thank you, Kate. Hello, everybody. My name is Nasreen Hassan. I am a member of USPC in Chicago. We are here tonight to discuss the victory in Gaza, but even though there's a current ceasefire in Gaza, I just want to stress all Palestinians are still living under occupation, apartheid, and still under the siege. Just as Israel tries to continue to repress Palestinians' rights in Palestine, our community here also faces repression. Kate touched on the Midwest 23, and I just also want to say that 7 of those Midwest of the 23 are Palestinian. I also want to discuss another case real quickly of a form of FBI and political repression here, and that is the case of Rasmiya Oda. On October 22nd, 2013, Rasmiya Oda, the Associate Director of the Arab American Action Network, was arrested by DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and was charged with unlawful procurement of naturalization for allegedly giving inaccurate information on a citizenship application she filed about 20 years ago. They are claiming she did not disclose that she spent 10 years in an Israeli prison in Palestine. Her conviction by an Israeli military court was forced by vicious physical and sexual torture. So she and we do not acknowledge that illegal imprisonment. And neither should the U.S. court. Rasmiya has been a community leader for decades, and her life's work is supporting the empowerment of Arab women. She has worked with disenfranchised Arab women in Palestine, Lebanon, and Jordan, and now here in Chicago. She founded the AWC, which is the Arab Women's Committee of the AAAN, which has over 600 members. So the question is, why is the government looking at an application that is over 20 years old? We believe it is because Rasmiya is being targeted for who she is and who we are. Palestinians that criticize U.S. support of Israel and organize to change foreign policy here. We are asking people to show their support for this community icon by signing the petition over there that we're sending out right now. And also, if you have a Facebook, we're asking you guys to like the page, drop the charges against Rasmiya. And we're also asking people to attend her motion hearing October 2nd and her trial on November 4th. Both are in Detroit because that's where she applied for citizenship. It is very important that the judge knows that she has massive support behind her. Your presence in the courtroom will make a big difference. We have a carpool sheet going around as well, also on the table, for you to come and join us. This is a case of oppression against Palestinians that is happening in our own backyard. So please come out and support Rasmiya Oda. She is a youth activist, and she is part of the AAAN's campaign to end law enforcement harassment and end racial profiling. Please welcome Manar Daghash.
Just a quick statement. I don't know why whenever I'm asked to do like a performance or like a speech or something, they always put me up with the greats who are much more experienced than I am, but I'll say hello everyone. name is Manar, Daghash, and I'm a 17-year-old member of the Chicago chapter of USPCN. It was once said that those who love peace must organize as effectively as those who love war. For decades, Palestinians have been denied their fundamental rights of freedom and equality through the ethnic cleansing, racial discrimination, colonization, and military occupation of Israel. Despite much disapproval of Israeli policies by the UN, other international bodies, and human rights organizations, the U.S. and its allies have kept the world community from holding Israel accountable and enforcing adherence to basic principles of law. Israel's crimes have continued with exemption from punishment. In the aftermath of Israel's military slaughter of civilians in Gaza and the continued occupation and apartheid in the rest of Palestine, the victorious declaration that the Palestinian people will win may seem delusional and hyperbolic. But it is not a rhetorical device. It is a moral argument ingrained in a reading of anti-colonial history. Israel has terrorized the world, manipulated the anti-Arab sentiment, and attacked its critics to justify its unjustifiable occupation. It was this most recent increase of inhumane force that resulted in a tipping point in world public opinion to disapprove of Israel's neglect of human rights and support the right of sovereignty of the Palestinian people. The U.S. Palestinian Community Network works to empower our communities, unify our voice, and affirm the rights of Palestinians to self-determination and equality through ending Israeli occupation and colonization of all historic Palestine. It was this level of unity, organization, positivity, and commitment that was manifested in Palestine, in the U.S., and throughout the world, and that was represented by USPCN that resulted in the victory of Gaza. This was a movement of the people. Amongst the chaos, we never forgot who we were. Yes, many were killed, but the Palestinian spirit is not dead and will never die. Yes, the oppressors controlled our borders and worldly matters, but we never forgot what mattered. Israel clearly lost this battle on both military and political levels. One of the strongest armies in the world could not accomplish its goal of disarming and defeating the unified Palestinian resistance in Gaza. All the Palestinian resistance groups participated together in the defense of our land and proved that Israel's military is not invincible. Palestinians and Arabs led the forces of resistance by any and all means, including the mass Arab and Muslim mobilizations in this country, the largest ever of our people. USPCN led coalitional efforts in many of the cities where we have chapters, such as New York, Detroit, the Bay Area, Chicago, St. Louis, Youngstown, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. Locally in Chicago, we were one of the core members of the Coalition for Justice in Palestine and played a key role in organizing the protests that reached over 10,000 people in the streets of Chicago. We worked to bring the voice of solidarity expressed by other oppressed communities at our rallies, including the Black, Latino, and Puerto Rican communities as speakers. We drew a parallel between the Ferguson uprising and the Gaza resistance by taking part in the delegation that went to Ferguson and met with people on the ground leading the work for justice for Mike Brown. We recognize the essential political connection that must be made between oppressed nationalities in the U.S. and the people of Palestine. Through the work of USPCN and other Palestinian forces in the U.S. and around the world, the commitment and unity of the people and growing international support, the victory in Palestine seems inevitable. For the Palestinian and Arabs in the room that are interested in USPCN's work and are interested in joining us, we invite you to our next meeting that's on Tuesday, September 30th at 7 p.m. at Jerusalem Banquets. If you're interested, have any questions, comments, or anything, please approach me. It's at 8310 South Harlem. All right, so if you have any questions or just want to approach me, you're welcome to approach me after. Thanks.